In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how I shape a bulle. Now, don't be too hard on me. I haven't done a bulle in a while. These are the few tools you're going to need. You're going to need some flour, some rice flour. I like to have a little sieve, your bench scraper and dough scraper, and finally a banneton. First thing we're going to do is lightly flour the banneton with some rice flour. That's fairly simple and self-explanatory. I'm going to put rice flour on the dough before I put it in anyway, so I don't need tons of rice flour on this. Okay, next thing is the flour. I'm going to apply some flour to the surface of the dough before I turn it out. I like to try to get it around the edges. Oh, and by the way, I proofed this dough, or bulk fermented this dough, until I had a 60% rise in my aliquot jar. I'm going to lightly flour the surface of this. Let me just show you the aliquot jar as well. So I show the markings here. Where it started at was down here. I've marked 50 and 60% rise. So this dough right now has risen to 60% of its original volume. Okay, so I've floured lightly the top of that. I'm just going to flour the work surface lightly. I like to have enough so the dough's not stuck down. We'll remove excess as we go. So this is why I have my dough scraper. I want to try to release the dough from the sides of the bowl. I just do that gently. When I floured this, I tried to get some flour down on the edges. So when I do this to release the dough, I don't get excessive sticking, so that wasn't too bad. Now I'm just going to flip this right onto the counter, straight down, and let it release. When you release the sides, the whole thing comes off pretty well. So this is a very airy dough. Okay, so next thing I like to do is just get some of the flour underneath. We don't want excessive amounts of flour on this sticky surface, because that's going to be inside. We don't mind raw flour on the outside, just not on the inside. So I gently push it underneath the dough, and then I'm just going to scrape some of this away so we don't end up with too much inside. The next step is very similar to shaping a betard. So using the bench scraper, to lift, get my hands underneath. So I'm trying to contact only the floured side. I'm trying to brush off some of the excess flour. Same thing on the other side. Get my hand underneath, lift and turn. Okay, try to brush off excess flour. And then we're gonna roll this towards me. Again, let's get rid of excess flour. Okay, maybe get a little under there. Get under here, and we're just gonna roll. This is just like doing a betard. And then at the end, there will be a little bit of a difference. Okay, so there we go. So now we're gonna get this turned. Let's just get some flour on this, and we're gonna start shaping this into a bulle, slowly and gradually. So we're turning and pushing to try to get this nice and round. You can see it's coming along. A bit more flour on this. Now I don't have enough flour on this exposed part here. I'm just going to flour this lightly so I'm not sticking too much as I go to that side. If you see sticky areas, you may just want to lightly flour them. Okay, so let's see if we can get this nice and tense. You can also do this with your hands to build the round tension, but I have a tendency to do it with this. Okay, So actually that looks pretty good. Again, there's a little bit of stickiness there. Let me see if I can. Just want to try to get it nice and round. It's always good to have a little bit of extra bench flour. I don't know, what do you think? Not too bad? Just pop that bubble a little. Okay, so I think it's not bad. Let me see if I can do a little with my hands now. Okay, not bad. I think I've degassed it a little bit too much now. Okay, so the next step, I'm going to put a little rice flour on it and then transfer it into the banneton. So, as I said, we don't need a ton of rice flour in the banneton because I'm going to generously cover this with rice flour so it doesn't stick, hopefully. With rice flour, I've never actually had a problem with it sticking. So we're just going to flip this over and put it into the banneton next. This part is always a little scary for me. Get that right in. There we go. Not too bad. Not bad at all. Okay, I'm just gonna put a little rice flour on the bottom of this. And then I'm gonna cover it. I'm gonna leave it to proof a little bit longer at room temperature. And then it'll go into my fridge. My fridge is set at 2 degrees Celsius, and I'm gonna let it have a cold retard overnight and bake it tomorrow morning. Anyways, there you go.